Hello and welcome to part one of Fast Moving Water. And today we did block-in. We covered the whole canvas with thin paint, because we're going to work on top of it. And we learned a little bit about abstract shapes and composition, and did a lot of thinking on how to build a painting on top of this foundation. So the important thing is that you keep painting. I'm so glad you tuned in with me here in YouTube in part one. And YouTubers, if you want to find out more about this painting, like part 2 and 3, I have 130 of these tutorials on Uscreen. So migrate over to Uscreen. It's $9.99 a month, and you can have access to all that stuff. So keep painting, get outside and paint with your friends, get critiques, and you're going to get really good. All right. Thanks for coming by. Let's get now into part one. Bye. Hello again, and welcome to part one of Fast Moving Water. And here you see my brushes I'll probably be using during the next 3 sessions. It looks like a 10 flat, a 6 flat, a filbert 6, and then looks like a 4 filbert and then a 2 filbert. So that's probably the deals that we're going to be working with. Of course, my palette knife, and blue, red, yellow, Naples, yellow, cold gray, raw sienna, burnt sienna, viridian, and titanium white. Good place to start. I'll probably add a few as we go along. So now canvas, I'm working on a 13 by 16 canvas. Now you're saying that's a little bit more square than the reference has, and so why are you doing that? Well, it's because basically I have a nice frame for this, and like a lot of painters, we have paintings, we have lots of paintings, but not too many frames. So I'm always saying, what can I fit into that nice looking frame over there? And that's how I came up with this. So I have to do some juggling and changing around and figuring out the most important stuff to put in this painting. All right, so today is block-in. What we want to do is try to get these basic shapes in the right place on this canvas, and then where to and what to do with basic value colors. So we hope to figure out, get some sort of thin color on all parts of this canvas. Now that's a big challenge in 30 minutes, so I better stop talking and start mixing here. So with that, I'm going to get my trusty T7. Oh, where are my paper towels? Darn it. Let me hang it up. We're in a different easel. I have like 6 easels in my studio. Okay, so let's get a drawing color. So let's just get some blue and some burnt sienna, white, a little bit more burnt sienna, makes it a little bit more gray. And that's my mixture. Okay, here's my number 2 filbert. I just washed it out with a little bit of turp because I had some Johnson's baby oil on it when I cleaned it. So here it's more of a jungle painting. We don't have any, horizon or stuff like that. We're kind of in the woods itself. And these are always challenging things because you say, well, we've been so used to horizon lines and things like that. How do I find out where my shapes are? Well, what I do is look at these darks. Now, over here on the left is a dark. On the right is it's a dark. And then there's a bigger dark that comes from it. Kind of goes flat. Maybe around center line. And I think this may come out a little bit more. this dark goes here. And has this nice abstract shape that goes up over here. So this is dark. And this is dark. All right, then there's another dark that comes in over here. And then above here is some sort of a, oh, I think where the water, the top of the water is. It goes up this way somewhere. Then it's lost. And then there's some darks that come across here that kind of show where the waterfall is. I don't know what this is, why I put that even in there. It doesn't even show. And then up here is a lot of light area. So we have a light area and a dark area down below. All right, so let's figure out some more shapes now. I'm going to my filbert 6. I'm loading up both sides. I'm going to add a little bit of viridian on the side with some white. And this is going to be a lot of green up in here. I'm going to add some white to that mixture. And I want to figure out where some trees are going to be. So I know there's a bunch of little guys over here. But then there's thicker guys, like there's some main characters. One over here that kind of comes in a little bit, out, has a little bit of a bend to it. And then there's another fellow right next to him. Right in here. And then there's a little guy right behind him. I'll add a little bit more gray in him. And then they have lots of limbs and stuff like that coming off of here. Dark spots. Well, then there's a big main character, almost in the center, I think, which is right here. Okay, so this is how I'm dividing up my painting. Now that's the really rough drawing of where things should be. And I just stepped back and took a look at it, and so far so good. Now I know there's this little fella in here that has all these little branches going off there, that little pine tree. But let's worry about him later. Let's get the big stuff in here. So let's figure out if, and fill in some of these, drawing can only go so far, but once you get your value color in there, it'll tell you a lot more if you're in the right place and in the right area. So I'm going to throw some gray into this mixture. I'm going to throw some burnt sienna in this mixture. So I'm going to go blue, burnt sienna, alizarin, viridian. And a little bit more burnt, a little bit more red. And now I'm going to get some of this value into the shapes. I'm going to get a little bit of turpin here. Whew, that may have been too much. And I think I need to put a little less dark there. See, I went up the trunks a little bit of the trees. And now I'm going to put a little bit of dark in here. And there's a little bit of dark on this side that I missed. Kind of coming in. So now I'm stepping back and taking a look at this. And good, okay. We've done a variation of this painting before. It's a little bit wider. And today it's kind of a neat exercise on trying to see if it's basically an abstract painting that we start making some sense out of with some shapes. Okay, with that, let's start filling in a few more things. I've got this light and I've got this dark here, and I think with this viridian color with a little bit of ultra in it, I'm going to start making some background color. I'm putting some yellow in it now, so it's ultra blue and a little bit of lemon yellow. Blue, yellow. And let's start thinning this with a little bit of terp. And I'm going to change brushes here and do some brush change. So I'm going to my number 10. And the reason I washed it out, I have some baby oil in it to preserve it from last week. Didn't paint over the weekend. And I'm really filling this thing up. And just a touch of terp to it to kind of thin it out. And I'm just going to do some filling in of some background colors. And I know it's pretty light in this area where I'm painting right now. And as I go over to the right, I'm going to have to go a little bit darker as I get over to the right here. And I know you see all kinds of little intricacies in here, but I'm just going to not worry about that right now. I'm putting the paint on thin. Just enough to try to cover the canvas. And now I'm going to add a little bit more blue to this mixture. Ultra blue, in fact. And it's more of a blue-green. And we'll put that over in this area here. And I'll put a little bit over in here to kind of transition. Some splotches of it in some places. You see I'm kind of blocking it in there. I'm not delicately painting. I'm just trying to get a lot of paint off my brush right now. Okay, how do we make sense of this water? And I think what we need to do is go back to a different brush to get started and then go back to a bigger brush. But let's go back to this dark, and I think I need to say that this is for my reference, so I kind of know where the water is. This is going to be water in this area, so I could probably move out some of this green stuff here and get into the water stuff. All right, with this, I need mixing room, so I'm going to pick up my green and see if I've got any, not a whole lot, is it? And my gray, and not a whole lot. So I'll put it to the side. And I'm going to clean my palette thoroughly. You can see if my palette is really clean this morning. Now, over the weekend I cleaned it with acetone, the product you can get from your hardware store. It smells like your sister's nail polish remover from when you were growing up. My big sister would use this product, and came in little glass jars, and you could really tell when she was removing the color from her nails. Okay, why did I get into that? Okay, let's go to Naples and raw sienna. And let's start thinking about some of this basic color here. So this is Naples, raw sienna, and some white. And if you notice over here on the right, gosh, I need to remove some of this dark over here too. Sorry, bear with me. Okay, we're going to put some of this warm color over here, here, and a few places over here, and here, and looks like over here there's some. Let me just sprinkle this around a little bit because I know there's some of this is showing in various places. And okay. So kind of like color notes. And I'm going to increase the darks over here a little bit. I know I have to bring in these little trees again, and I will do so. So now let's go to a new mixture, and I'm going to have a blue and Viridian mixture, and then I'm going to have a green mixture, which would be Viridian, and then I'm going to have a white mixture, and I don't need a whole bunch of that, so I'll just say, okay, that's my white. Boy, that sure took care of my titanium white. Jeez, went through that very quickly. So let's go back to old number 10 here and go with the blue. If you look on the lower left, you'll see a area that looks like it's blue, which means it's in shadow. I'm going to make one part of it a little darker, which is going to be up in here. It was a little too dark, but I'll leave it. And I'm going to fill in this area with the blue. And over here to the right of that area is more of a green area. So I'm going to go to my mixture with a little bit of Viridian in it. I probably have too much Viridian in there. And I'm going to get a little warm in there. I added just a little bit of that Naples and raw sienna, just a touch of it. And I'm putting that in. And now I'm going over to the right of it into that dark, and it's kind of a soft edge there. It's kind of a hard edge right up on the right side of that lower pool. And I see some green coming over the rocks here. And I'm going to get some white in here, and I see some white designs up in here. I'm going to go back to the blue, put that right in here. And now I'm going to the white and putting it here. And there's a little waterfall right here. And I'm putting my whites in at the appropriate places. I need to refill my white here. Excuse me for 1 second. And I'm squeezing out some titanium white. There it is. Let me squeeze out some more because I'm sure I'll need it. You can never have enough titanium white around. All right, so now we're going to go to the white and re-emphasize a few places. And I see some really strong stuff here. And I'm going to go back now to the ultra blue. Boy, that was too much. I wish I'd mixed with my knife instead of my brush. Jeez. And I see more of that up in here. And let me get some, emphasize some blue down here, coming into here. All right, we have a few minutes now. We've covered the canvas almost entirely with our desired value colors. Let me see here. And now we have time to work on a few more things. So I'm cleaning my brush, and let me see what I can do here with. I got another, looks like a number 12. It's real stiff, and I'm just going to clean out some of this green here and see how that very adequately cleans out some, and it kind of says thicker aspen. And I can put little guys in here. There we go. And I'm going to see what I can do with a kind of a blue mixture here. This is that titanium white and a little bit of ultra. And I'm going to use this brush and use horizontal strokes. And I think there's some darker shadows down in here, so I'm going to make this a little darker with the blues. I'm going to mix some Viridian in there, because there is some green in there. This is stuff I should be doing tomorrow, but we have a little bit of time. And you see that horizontal stroke gives it a really good look. And I think I'm going to use a horizontal stroke for this little fella coming down here. And I've got some of that gray over to the right. I'm going to add some blue to it, a touch of red. And I'm going to darken up these bases a little bit. And now I'm going to go over to the tree on the left and go back to a little bit lighter mixture of ultra blue, ultra blue and white. Here we go. Now I'm going to just go more white right in here. And I'm going to use some of this white over in here. And a few splotches here and there. And with this white, I'm going to add some white into some of these trees here. And I think I'm still doing okay with time. And I'm going to change brushes. Let me clean this up just a little bit. And I'm going to work down in these dark areas. So let's get a number 6 flat. And let's go into a Viridian mixture. ultra blue, red, burnt sienna. I basically just look for my 4 darks on my palette and mix them together. And you see I'm reinforcing my value, my dark value, right on my canvas with my dark stuff. I'm going to go back and make some more green. That was Viridian, ultra blue, red, burnt sienna. Too much burnt sienna, darn it. And so what I'm doing is trying to be inspired by these shapes on the canvas to give me direction on where to put these stronger darks. And that's what I'm doing right now. I think my waterfall has to be moved over here just a little bit. I'll get some titanium white here and get that in there. And I will increase my dark on this side. I move some of my light, and I'm putting some dark right where I think it should be. And I'm running out of dark, and I'm running out of time. So I need some good darks in the tree, though. Let me just do a little bit more. This is the blue, red, burnt sienna, green routine, which says dark. And I'm going to add some of those with the side of my brush. Aspen trees are so much fun. They've got all these scars on the bottom of them that really let you know that they're aspen trees. I've got a little bit of dark left over. I'm going to emphasize this edge here, and then it goes down. Good strong darks here and there. And a little bit of dark as she goes back. And I've got just a minute left. And let's get this little fella in. And at least we have a placement where he is. Okay, and I've got my darks were lost over here, so let me get them back. Okay, enough already. Thank you so much for coming by for part 1 of Fast Moving Water. This is up in Rocky Mountain National Park. And if you want to be a good abstract painter, then you can look at this and turn it upside down and say, look, nice abstract shapes here. Okay, so with that, I want to say looking forward to part 2, and we'll see you in part 2 here. And I'll give it a fresh look tomorrow morning and see where to go with balance. All right, thanks for coming by. Bye-bye.